Keeper, and welcome back to On Air. Glad you could join me. I've been giving a lot of thought to this whole politics thing, and I want you all to hear me out on this one. Are direct sellers being caught in an ideological battle, a political battle, not between Republicans and Democrats, but between owners of direct selling companies? Think about it. Different direct selling company owners are supporting different candidates, and it's interesting because they break down not just political lines, but down religious lines. A kind of interesting thought on this. Also, today is International Women's Day. In fact, March is Women's Month. And this evening on Direct Selling Live announces its annual Women of Power, the Power 30 list. That is the list of the 30 most powerful, most influential women in all of direct selling. So sit back and relax and join me as we start On Air.
When my mother used to sell Princess House.
Joined them way that night.
Norma siempre vendía cosas de Avon.
Oh, it must have been around 1935.
But those knives were amazing.
The one lady's name was Mary Kay, and I said, oh, cosmetics will never sell on Party Plan.
Was a single mom and created these hair care products for black women and became the first self-made millionaire in the United States. I just think that's extraordinary.
Welcome back to On Air. I'm glad you could join me. As I said in the opening, today is International Women's Day, March 8th. In fact, March is Women's Month. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. With that in mind, this evening on Direct Selling Live at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Direct Selling Live will announce its annual Women of Power, the Power 30. That's the list of the 30 most powerful, most influential women in all of direct selling. It's a very diverse list. It's an exciting list. There are so many different things. There are so many different people who made movements in 2011. This list only gets better and better and better. In fact, next year it will move from the Power 30 to the Power 50. The Women of Power, the Power 50. It's that explosive. There are that many women who are just doing magnificent things. So next year, Direct Selling Live's annual Women of Power, Power 4, will be the Women of Power, the Power 50. Okay, let's get back to the very first segment, because we'll get to the Women Power towards the end of the show. So I'm shaving, right? I'm getting ready for today's show, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got my topics. I know what I want to talk about. There are a number of things going on in direct selling. There are a number of people doing things, a lot of curious things. So I'm thinking, and I think this political thing it's interesting. It's exciting for me because I think a lot of, what goes on in direct selling is driven by the politics. And as more and more direct selling owners jump into the fray, it's only making that point even clearer and clearer and causing a number of us to just stop and say, wait a minute, who am I dealing with here really from a company standpoint, from an owner standpoint? They've been talking this way, but now that they're making their feelings known with their money and how that impacts my life, I really need to pause and just be sure that I am in the right place. So I'm shaving, I'm getting all this taken care of, and I'm thinking, wow, direct selling is really starting to have major impact on politics. It's in the news all the time. It's been reported all the time from New York Times, Washington Post, to Forbes, to Times, to all the online sites, CNN, Fox, MSNBC online. They talk about it all the time, and certainly Huffington Post and all this. And obviously, here on Direct Selling Live, we are the only company in direct selling, only media company even talks about it, and On Air is spearheading all this. So once again, as I said, I'm thinking, okay, it's interesting. The Voss family pretty much partnered up with the Koch family, with the whole Koch brothers, and the Vosses have given money to Gingrich, and they've given money to Santorum. That's what's being reported, and that's what we're finding out. So if you look at that, you're saying, okay, that's more of the Christian side of the Republican Party. And this is not about Republicans or Democrats. Let's be very, very clear. Let's be right up front about this. This is not about that, and it's also not about religion in the sense that I'm taking a run at religion. I just want you to hear me out for just a few minutes here. So the DeVos family, the most powerful family in direct selling, has given money to Gingrich and Santorum, more the Christian side of religion, of the whole political spectrum. And now, as we look at it, we look at New Skin owners, Tillotson, Ronnie, and Lund, who've given money to Romney. And then we look at For Life owner David Lazenby, who's also given a bunch of money to Romney. And then I start to think, okay, wait a minute. Frank Vandersloot of Melaleuca, who is Romney's Idaho finance chair, or co-finance chair in Idaho, gave $1 million. In fact, the New Skin group, Lund, Tillotson, and Ronnie gave multiple millions of dollars through a shell company, a couple of shell companies that we've reported multiple times that we will continue to investigate. So I'm shaving, I'm thinking, well, that's pretty interesting. Then it occurred to me, wait a minute. This is not just about politics and business. Are we talking about a religious war taking place here in direct selling? Are we talking about, on the one side, you've got the DeVos family, who, in line with the whole Heritage Foundation and their Christian view of things, and on the other side, you've got the Mormons, who have New Skin and For Life and Melaleuca. Wow. It was like a lightning bolt struck me, because this is what I began to think. Are distributors caught up in this unwillingly, unknowingly, not having any idea that from a industry standpoint, power is being distributed, or power is trying to be gotten along religious lines, and it's impacting distributors. Because, as I said yesterday and in previous shows, you're not just getting the politician for their business views. You're also getting their social views, their religious views, their cultural views, their racial views, their world views. You're getting all of it. And when we come back in the next segment, I have questions about this, and I really want you all to think about it, because it's really, really interesting. When I come back.
So I'm really excited though to actually meet with Brittany tomorrow, because I'll actually know how to call those people. Like, I'll really know how to talk to them and deal with all these like different people. Because just now when I called Clea, like, that was not the way that I should have called her. Like, I should not have been talking the way that I was talking, because I sounded really just unsure of myself and not confident, and that's not the way that I am. But for some reason, she just scares me, and I don't know. I was just like, ah! So hopefully tomorrow it'll really, really help when I talk to Brittany, because she'll let me know how to come across those personalities. Hopefully I get a little bit more confidence with calling people, because Lord knows that I don't have that.
Now that we're back, I have some interesting thoughts on this. Are distributors being pitted against each other, or are our owners doing not only political battle with each other, but religious battle with each other here in direct selling? As I just said in the previous segment, on the one side, you've got the DeVos family, and I'm sure there are others who are supporting Gingrich and Santorum and their religious and cultural worldviews. On the other side, which is more how they kind of put it, or not the DeVos and anyone like that, but Gingrich and certainly Santorum, that they are the proper Christians. And Romney and the Mormons, they're not really real Christians. I've heard that a few times on the news. So on the Romney side, in the Romney camp, you've got New Skin owners, Stephen Lund, Sandy Tillotson, and Blake Ronnie, who've given multiple millions of dollars through shell companies F8 and Eli Publishing, well documented, being reported all over in Utah. And you've got David Lazenby, the founder of For Life, who's given $500,000 to Romney. And then you've got Idaho finance chair for the Romney campaign, being Frank Vandersloot, the owner of Melaleuca, who's given $1 million, with 3/4 of that, $750,000 of that, coming in through Melaleuca Asia, through 3 different divisions of Asia. It's just crazy. But think about this for a second. Politics is more than just about political power. It's more than just about money power. In large part, politics is really about religious power. As one person recently wrote, what is happening, certainly to their point of view, and I don't know how much of this is true. I have my own personal thoughts, but I'm just going to say, kind of paraphrase what they said, is you've got certain factions here in the United States politically who want to create a religious power base so they could start to run the country more along the lines of how the Taliban created a emotional religious war against the United States. So you've got these factions in the United States that are thinking we need to do the same thing. Well, that's how we need to begin to create the United States in more of a Christian point of view, and that's how we move, and that's how we begin to reshape the country. The other thing that really got me thinking about this is what Betsy DeVos said. Betsy DeVos, who came out not long ago and said, yes, we have been the largest soft money donors, to the Republican Party. Soft means secret, for years. And not only do we want and expect things in return, we want the United States to be run with our values of life, our values of religion, no doubt, our values of culture, our values of sexuality, our values of our moral values, and all of this. These are stunning comments, and certainly now that the Citizens United, January 21st, 2010, Supreme Court announcement came down, giving corporations unlimited amounts of money that they can pour in effect silencing the voices of the average person. I started to think, okay, if that's happening there, it's also beginning to happen in direct selling when you have the different groups pairing up with the Romneys, and then you have the groups with Santorum and Gingrich. Are direct selling distributors being used as a political football? And why do you say political football? Because distributors are partners with all of these companies. Distributors are not employees. They're business partners. And when business partners are not told what the rest of the partnership is doing, they are kept silent. They're only doing that because they don't want you to know what they are doing. So what do? I don't know. I don't know, because the fact of the matter is, no matter who you are and what you do, whatever part of life, you're caught up in something. But I am really concerned about the silencing of the individual voice in politics in the United States. And in this instance, I'm really concerned about the silencing of the distributor voice in the United States, as our company owners independently and silently and secretly, in some cases, pour in millions of dollars. What's happening is their corporations, their money, as it was pointed out by Mr. Jowers, a journalist a couple of days ago, you have a situation where you have a special few who can give millions of dollars to control the political apparatus in the United States, and in effect, silencing the voice of the American voter. And it's interesting that those people that are part of silencing the voice of the American voter are our company owners. Political footballs. You may be kicked around and not even know about it. You may be punted without even being told anything about it. as some distributors who have now begun to come to me and say, Keeper, will you investigate our company? I need to know what our company owners are all about, if they've donated money, because if they have donated money to causes I don't care for, then that's a problem for me. And if and when we tell these stories, I'm sure it's a problem for the company owners, because now their secret is out. And there could be an exodus of some kind, small, hopefully not large, but there could be an exodus because your ideological, religious views or political views or whatever are at odds with a number of your distributors. And distributors are going to begin to say, wait a minute, I'm not in agreement with this. The stories that we report on the company owners are stories that have already begun to be circulated nationally. They're already making news. They're already breaking news. They're already being quoted. They're already being identified. We're following up, and we are continuing to report. But I really, really hope from a distributor standpoint, and granted I'm not a distributor, and I have no intention of being a distributor. I like what I do, running a entertainment company. It's always been my dream. So I'm living my dream. But for distributors, are you being used as a political football without even knowing about it? Are you being part of the game without even knowing about it? I certainly hope not, but I think now is the time to begin to ask the question, who is really in charge of politics in direct selling, and am I being used to the degree that I have absolutely no idea? When I come back, International Women's Day today, and Direct Selling Live announces its annual Women of Power, Power 30, tonight at 6 p.m. When I come back.
No family can survive on 2 incomes anymore, let alone 1. If you are supplementing your family's income working from home, then tune into The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio. Host Deb Bixler brings you sales tips, lead generation systems, and best business practices that guarantee direct sales success. Whether you're looking for a little extra cash or a career change, The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio will give you proven systems that will work in your home business. The Cash Flow Show, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on World Talk Radio Variety.
Welcome back. Today is International Women's Day. March 8th, that's right, is known around the world as International Women's Day. In fact, March is Women's Month. It's a beautiful thing. It's a fantastic thing. Women cannot get enough recognition as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's interesting. Here in direct selling, 85% of all distributors are women, and yet in the boardroom, women are represented by less than 25%. Direct Selling Live over the past 6 years, for those of you who don't know, has been doing a study on women in the boardroom, and we've had a number of women come on air to talk about it, and we're going to continue to talk about it because women do so much work in direct selling. They do the lion's share of all the buying of products and services. They're the majority of people who are prospected or gender that's prospected. And more importantly, they have more businesses, almost 9 to 1 compared to men. And yet, when you look around direct selling, men tend to just dominate. I mean, so much is given to men from a recognition standpoint. I don't think, based on the numbers, that women get enough recognition. And so today, on Direct Selling Live, tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Direct Selling Live announces its annual Women of Power, the Power 30. This is a great, great list. The Direct Selling Live Women of Power and the Direct Selling's Power 50 list are not like your typical power list. They are not a list where people nominate. It's not a popularity contest. Basically, what we're looking for are those women who have some power and influence. Notice I said some power. You don't have to have all the power. You have to have some power and influence, and yet your power and influence needs to transcend, needs to reach more than just the people in direct selling, or have more importance in some way, somehow, to those people in direct selling. This list is very, very diverse. Some of you are going to look at the list and say, why is she on this list? Why aren't I on this list? I talk to thousands of people. I talk to millions of people. I sell this many products. I make this much money. It's not about that. That may be a part of it. But the overriding factor is your place in direct selling and how it impacts. For instance, in this particular list, there are people who are impacted direct selling from a cultural standpoint, from a social standpoint, from a political standpoint, from an education standpoint, from a technology standpoint, from a racial standpoint. All of these things come into play because that is the type of power that transcends and goes beyond just the immediate. That's generational. And our Power 50 and our Women of Power is all about generational thinking. What happens after today? What's the impact of the list after today? We think you're going to really, really enjoy this list, and you're going to be surprised by some of it. As I said, some of you are going to say, I should be on this list, or so-and-so should be on this list. That may be true. But if you want to get on our radar for next year, you've got to let us know. Contact us at the Power 50 at Direct Selling Live or the Women of Power at Direct Selling Live, and let us know, and we'll put you on the radar. I think from a direct selling standpoint, there's a lot of change going on. Women are really starting to flex their muscle, and it's a beautiful thing. I don't think women get enough recognition. It's certainly me growing up, watching what my mother went through at the hands of my father and my stepfather, and my sisters, what they went through at the hands of my stepfather. I champion women's causes. I really do. I think women should be idolized. They should be lifted up because of what they go through. It's a challenge being a woman. There's absolutely no doubt about it. In a lot of ways, men, we just have it so much easier. And that's probably just because of the way we set it up. But women are turning the tables, and to me, they can't turn the tables fast enough. So, take a look tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Direct Selling Live, as we announce in celebration of the International Women's Day, Direct Selling Live's Women of Power, the Power 30. And for those of you who want to make the list, know that next year, the Women of Power, the Power 30, the 4th edition, will become the Women of Power, the Power 50. We will bring in a list of 50 of the most powerful, most influential women in all of direct selling. You want to get on the list? Want us to take a look at you? As I said, contact us at the Power 50 at Direct Selling Live, or contact us at the Women of Power at Direct Selling Live. Tomorrow's show is going to be a nice show. I don't want to forget to mention, there are a lot of celebrations, there are a lot of events going on, but I want to really throw the shout out to Networking Times. Chris Gross and Josephine Gross over there. This month, March edition of Networking Times, all of you need to go out and buy it because it's all about women. The entire issue is all about women. Women are writing the stories, and the stories are all about women. In fact, one of the featured stories is a woman by the name of Janine Avila. She will be on air tomorrow, and she'll be talking about her doing her interview for Networking Times. And also on March 18th, I believe it's March 18th, the latest episode of Profiles Encourage Distributor Stories will be all about Janine Avila. What an amazing story. Oh my gosh. You talk about tragedy on top of tragedy on top of tragedy that this woman had to overcome. The triumph, the courage that she has had to muster. The days, I know what my life was like growing up. It was not pretty. It was really bad. After hearing Janine's story, listen, you just gotta hear her story. It's an absolutely mind-blowing story. So she will be the feature on the next edition of Profiles Encourage, which will be around March 18th. Profiles Encourage, Distributor Stories. And once again, go out and buy Networking Times this month. The entire issue of Networking Times is all about women and women in direct selling. Have a great day. I will see you